How do you make yourself more trustworthy? Hey, welcome. I'm Cassidy, your love coach. And on this channel, we talk about thriving relationships and how to live a life of pleasure and purpose. In today's episode, Matt and I talk about trust, how to build it, how to trust others, and what to do when it's broken. So if that sounds interesting to you, then stay tuned. Trust is foundational in relationships. Trust is what creates that feeling of safety and security in your relationship.
And trust is something that's earned and ever practiced. And one of those things that is really just made up of all of the commitments that you make and keep.
Now, it can be a challenging thing when there is a breach of trust in relationship. And unfortunately, there is no magic pill to help you regain that trust. And it's not going to come down to nice things you say or reassuring your partner that they can trust you. All you can do to regain trust is to be trustworthy, to be worthy of trust through keeping your commitments again and again and again, demonstrating that you are worthy of trust.
Yeah. So the first step is that awareness of, okay, what am I committing to? Am I keeping my word? Or am I just saying I'll do stuff and maybe I do, maybe I don't?
And this actually starts first and foremost with yourself. Trust is one of these things that starts internally. You need to be able to trust yourself in order to be trustworthy to others. So the first place to look is, are you keeping your commitments to yourself? If you want to know how trustworthy you are, look at what percentage of the commitments to yourself are you keeping?
Mm-hmm.
So for example, if you are saying, okay, tomorrow I'm going to work out and then you don't, or I set my alarm for 7:00 and then I hit the snooze button. That's a broken commitment to yourself.
Mm-hmm. Become really aware of all the commitments that you make, either consciously or unconsciously. And a lot of the times, the best thing most people could do is actually make way less commitments. Really decide to not commit to anything unless you're 100% sure you're going to do that. So it means, at least for me, it first was the awareness of all the things that I said I was going to do and didn't. I think that came from Landmark when we did that about 12 years ago, just the power of your word and really what that means. And first step was to, commit to a lot less things. And then just when I say I'm going to do it. And really starting small too. Like, hey, I'm going to take out the garbage today or something like that. And then I do it. It's like, okay, it's me keeping my word.
Yeah. And through this process, you really discover that you are a powerful creator. We are all powerful creators, but when we break commitments to ourselves and others, we are giving up that power because then our word doesn't mean anything in the world. And if you think about it, our word is the first step in bringing something from an idea or a thought into the physical world, into our reality. And so when you keep your word and do what you say you're going to do over and over again, then you gain this trust in yourself that when I say something, it's going to happen and I know it's going to happen. And that gives you confidence to then create things in your life.
Mm-hmm. The word confidence actually comes from confidere, which means with intense trust. So true confidence comes from the trust that when you say you're going to do something, you know you're going to do it. And other people can count on you as well.
Now, there are a lot of reasons that we make commitments that we really ought not to be making. Some of that can be just wanting to please others, knowing that somebody wants you to do something. So saying, sure, I'll do it, just to kind of either get them off your case or so
People
that you don't
please.
upset them. People please. So notice if you're doing that.
Yep. And sometimes it's just unconscious as well. Like, oh, yep, I'll do this. Oh, I'll do that. Or maybe even with all the best intentions. But when you make lots of commitments, it's hard to keep all of them, especially if you don't have a system for executing on it, like writing things down. That was very helpful for me. It's just, okay, write it down. It's no longer stored in my memory. If I make all these commitments, I can only remember so many things. Make less, make a plan, get them done, and then just keep doing that. Practice that day after day, year after year.
That really is a great protocol for making sure you keep your commitments. Is as soon as you make one,
Mhm.
the next step is how I'm going to remember to keep
Yep.
this commitment. Put it in my calendar, put an alarm,
Yep.
write it on in my journal, in my list, put
Another,
it somewhere that I know will remind me.
yeah. Or another good one that I found helpful is if it takes a minute or less and I'm not in the middle of something, or even 2 minutes, it's that 2 minute rule is just do it now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, another reason that we make is that we're committing from a place of should. And this could be even our own should, some ideas of things we think we should be doing, most likely out of some kind of fear. And then we make commitments to ourselves and to others based on these shoulds and fears. So, of course, we are human and we will slip up. Sometimes we'll break commitments, even when we're really trying hard, practicing keeping all of our commitments. So, what do we do when that happens? Well, let's take an example. Let's say you are letting your partner know that you're going to be home at 6 tonight, and then you show up at 6:15. Now, it might not seem like a big deal, and a lot of people would probably not even acknowledge it, but you gave your word, right? You spoke it into existence that you were going to be home at 6, and then you showed up at 6:15. This is an example of one of these small breaches of trust. So what can you do instead? Well, okay, first off, if you get home at 6:15 and you didn't keep your word, acknowledge it right away and repair it. So, hey, I know I said I'd be home at 6 and it's 6:15. Just want to say I'm sorry, and sorry if there was any impact of that for you. And next time I'll make sure I'm home when I say I'll be home.
Yeah. And it might seem kind of overreacting or like, okay, you're just talking about 15 minutes and it makes no difference. But these small things really do add up and build that trust that, small things do matter. And what you say is important.
Mm-hmm. So, what you can do instead, if you really want to be able to keep your commitment, instead of saying, I'm going to be home at 6, if there's any chance that you might be home after 6, you can say something like, I'll be home between 6 and 6:30, or I'll message you when I'm on my way home, or I think I'll be able to be home by 6, but it could be closer to 6:15 or 6:30, just so you know.
Mm-hmm.
These are all ways that you can ensure that you're really keeping your word and not making a commitment that you're later going to break.
Yeah. So you can provide more flexibility or you can just choose to not commit to things. I'm somewhat notorious for that sometimes is somebody asks me to do something. If I don't 100% know that I can, then I will always give, I'll always
Hard
let them know.
maybe.
Yeah, a hard maybe. Like I would very much like to, and I can't commit to that. But check in with me, or I'll reach out to you by Monday, and we can go from there.
Yeah. And this is one reason that I can trust Matt 100%. And I've always been able to just totally trust you. And that's because I've seen over and over again that when you say you're going to do something, you do it. And no, not 100% of the time, because we're humans.
Mm-hmm.
But if you say you're going to do something and then you don't, you tell me, you
Mm-hmm.
acknowledge it. You say, hey, I know I said I was going to do that. Even something like taking out the compost. Oh, hey, I know I said I was going to take out the compost today. I'm sorry that I didn't do that, but I'll definitely do it tomorrow. And then tomorrow comes and you do it. And it's like, I just developed such an intense trust for me of you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Even a couple weeks ago, I missed a call with a friend that I'd scheduled. And afterwards, I realized, oh, whoops. So I reached out and said, hey, look, I'm really sorry. I broke this commitment I had on the calendar and I just completely missed that. And he was kind of like, hey, dude, it's okay. It happens. Like, no big deal. I'm like, no, to me, it's a big deal. I broke our commitment and here's what I'm recommitting to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So we've talked about how being worthy of trust, being trustworthy, starts with being able to trust yourself, which starts with keeping the commitments you make to yourself. But this goes the other way as well. If you want to be able to have a deeper trust in your partner, develop a deeper trust in yourself. Because the way that we perceive others in the world is in so many ways a reflection of what is inside of us. So if we are consistently breaking commitments to ourselves and to others at an unconscious level, we're going to assume that other people are doing the same thing and that our partner is doing the same thing. So if we're not keeping our commitments, we unconsciously expect that our partner also won't keep their commitments. So this starting with self-trust and just really getting intentional about the commitments you make and being so committed to keeping them not only makes you more trustworthy, but also helps you trust others more.
Beautiful.
And guess what? It also feels really great when you make a commitment and then you do it. I'm sure we all know that feeling. Like, take working out as an example. When you say, okay, tomorrow I'm going to work out, and then you don't, and then you kind of like get to the end of the day, and then you just, maybe you find an external circumstance to blame, or you numb out or distract yourself, and it just feels icky, right? I've been there. I'm sure you've been there. We've all been there. But when you say, today I'm going to work out, and then you just do the workout, whether you feel like it or not, oh, it feels so satisfying. It feels so good. And it really does like keeps your personal power when you say you're going to do something and you do it. Like, gives you that sense of personal power, confidence, intense trust. All right, so we've got an exercise for you. Get out your journals. It's time for a commitment cleanup. The first step, you're going to look at what commitments have you made that you need to follow through with, that you intend to and will follow through with. Write those down, and as you do, recommit. Second, what commitments have you made that you have broken? For these ones, who do you need to talk to repair this? Even if it seems like it's not a big deal, they're not upset about it, for your own sake, go to those people or yourself, if it's a commitment to yourself. Acknowledge the broken commitment, apologize for it, and apologize for any impact that it had on them. And then the third, what commitments have you made that you need to uncommit to? Things you've committed to that you really don't have any true intention of doing, that are sucking your power with all of this, I should do this or that. Write down any commitments you've made that you no longer want to keep
and actively break them.
Yeah, formally uncommit. So if they're commitments to another person, that means having a conversation and saying, hey, I know I told you I would do this, but I'm realizing that's not a commitment that I'm able to or willing to follow through with. You could propose an alternative commitment that's one that you know for sure you can keep, or you can just uncommit entirely. But just leaving it hanging will continue to suck your power and will continue to make you less worthy of trust. So close these loops, finish the things you've committed to, do the things you've committed to, repair the commitments you've broken, and uncommit to the things that you're just not gonna do. So I hope that all of these things will help you as a couple deepen the trust that you have for each other. Remember that trust is made up of small commitments kept over time. If you found this video helpful, I would really appreciate it if you would give it a like and make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any future videos.